Hello, everyone. As we age, one of the most common concerns I hear from seniors is hair thinning, not just on the scalp, but eyebrows, eyelashes, even overall hair texture. And many people assume this is just normal aging and that nothing can be done. But the truth is, in many cases, hair loss after 60 is not about age alone. It's about nutrient signaling, circulation, and what happens while your body repairs itself at night. Hair loss after 60 is not simply a cosmetic issue, and it is almost never just old age, even though that is what millions of seniors have been told for decades. The truth is far more unsettling and far more hopeful at the same time. What most people experience as age-related hair loss is actually the visible symptom of silent biological changes happening deep inside the body. Changes driven by nutrient depletion, reduced circulation, chronic inflammation, and hormonal signaling errors that build slowly over years. Scientific research shows that by the age of 60, the average adult absorbs up to 40% fewer key minerals from the same foods they ate in their 40s. This is not a theory. Studies published in journals of gerontology and nutrition confirm that stomach acid production declines with age, digestive enzymes weaken, and the gut lining becomes less efficient at transporting nutrients into the bloodstream. Hair follicles, which are among the most metabolically active structures in the body, are often the first to suffer. Hair follicles do not die easily. What happens instead is more disturbing. They shrink, they become dormant, they enter a prolonged resting phase called telogen, where growth shuts down not because the follicle is gone, but because it is no longer receiving the signals and resources it needs to function. Researchers have found that many seniors with thinning hair still have intact follicles under the scalp, waiting for the right biological conditions to restart growth. One of the most overlooked factors is zinc deficiency. Zinc is required for DNA replication, cell division, and keratin formation, all of which are essential for hair production. Multiple clinical studies have shown a direct correlation between low zinc levels and hair thinning in older adults. In some cases, restoring zinc intake has been associated with reduced shedding within weeks. Yet surveys reveal that a large percentage of seniors consume less than the recommended daily intake of zinc, even if they believe their diet is healthy. Another silent contributor is magnesium depletion. Magnesium is not just a relaxation mineral. It plays a central role in protein synthesis and energy production at the cellular level. Hair follicles require enormous energy to stay in the growth phase. Research shows that chronic magnesium deficiency increases inflammation and cortisol levels, both of which push hair follicles into a resting state. Alarmingly, over 60% of adults over 60 are estimated to be magnesium deficient, often without knowing it. Circulation is another critical piece of the puzzle that is rarely discussed. As we age, blood vessels lose elasticity, nitric oxide production declines, and microcirculation to the scalp becomes compromised. Studies using scalp biopsies have demonstrated that reduced blood flow leads to lower oxygen and nutrient delivery to hair follicles. This creates a starvation-like environment where hair growth becomes a low priority for the body. The hair does not fall out overnight. It thins slowly, strand by strand, year by year. Hormonal imbalance also plays a major role, not just in men, but in women as well. After menopause and andropause, shifts in hormone ratios can increase the influence of dihydrotestosterone, or DHT, on hair follicles. DHT does not cause hair loss by itself. It causes follicles to miniaturize when other protective factors, like adequate nutrients and blood flow, are missing. Research has shown that when hormonal balance is supported alongside proper nutrition, the negative impact of DHT can be significantly reduced. Sleep deprivation and chronic stress further accelerate the problem. During deep sleep, the body releases growth hormone, reduces inflammation, and repairs tissues, including the skin and scalp. Studies show that seniors who consistently sleep less than 6 hours per night have higher cortisol levels and lower growth hormone output. both of which are associated with increased hair shedding. Hair loss, in this context, becomes a warning sign of systemic stress rather than a standalone issue. What makes this situation especially tragic is that many seniors are prescribed topical treatments or harsh medications that address the symptom but ignore the root cause. These treatments may temporarily slow hair loss, but they do nothing to restore nutrient signaling, circulation, or cellular repair. In some cases, they can even worsen scalp inflammation, creating a hostile environment for regrowth. The science is clear on one point. Hair regrowth is not about forcing follicles to grow. It is about removing the obstacles that stop them from growing in the first place. When nutrient deficiencies are corrected, blood flow improves, inflammation is reduced, and hormonal signals are balanced. Hair follicles often do what they were designed to do naturally. This is why researchers now refer to age-related hair loss as a modifiable condition rather than an inevitable outcome. That term matters. It means that while genetics and aging play a role, lifestyle and nutrition determine how strongly those factors express themselves. Two people of the same age can have vastly different hair density depending on how well their internal systems are supported. Perhaps the most shocking fact of all is this: hair loss often appears years after the underlying damage begins. By the time thinning is visible, deficiencies and circulation issues may have been present for a decade or more. This delayed effect is why so many people feel helpless, believing the problem came out of nowhere, when in reality the body has been sending quiet signals for years. Hair loss in seniors is not vanity, it is biology, it is communication, it is the body revealing where support is missing. And when that support is restored, not aggressively, not unnaturally, but intelligently and consistently, the body often responds. The question is no longer whether age-related hair loss can be influenced. The research already answers that. The real question is whether people are willing to look beyond the myth of normal aging and address what their body has been lacking all along. What if the difference between continued hair thinning and visible regrowth after 60 was not another prescription, not an expensive serum, but a single spoonful of food taken at the right time of day? This idea sounds too simple, and that is exactly why most people dismiss it. Yet, nutrition science repeatedly shows that timing and composition of nutrients can dramatically change how the body repairs itself, especially during sleep. 1 tablespoon of ground pumpkin seeds before bed is not a folk remedy. It is a targeted nutritional signal that aligns with how the aging body heals at night. Research in chronobiology confirms that the body's repair systems peak during deep sleep when inflammation drops, growth hormone rises, and cellular regeneration accelerates. This is when hair follicles, if properly supported, can shift from dormancy back into activity. Pumpkin seeds are uniquely dense in zinc, a mineral so critical to hair biology that even mild deficiency can disrupt the hair growth cycle. Clinical studies published in dermatological journals have shown that individuals with hair thinning often have significantly lower zinc levels than those with healthy hair, even when blood tests appear normal. Zinc operates inside cells, not just in the bloodstream. 1 tablespoon of pumpkin seeds provides a concentrated food-based form of zinc that the body recognizes and absorbs more efficiently than many synthetic supplements. But zinc alone is not the full story. Pumpkin seeds also deliver magnesium, a mineral that declines sharply with age. Magnesium regulates hundreds of enzymes, including those responsible for protein synthesis and energy metabolism. Hair follicles are energy-intensive structures. When magnesium is low, follicles conserve energy by shutting down growth. Studies have shown that magnesium deficiency increases inflammatory markers and cortisol, both of which push hair follicles into a resting phase. Taking magnesium-rich foods before bed supports relaxation, improves sleep depth, and indirectly restores the environment hair follicles need to grow. One of the most misunderstood causes of age-related hair loss is hormonal imbalance, particularly the influence of dihydrotestosterone, or DHT. Pumpkin seeds contain plant compounds known as phytosterols, which research suggests can help moderate excessive DHT activity. This does not block hormones entirely, which would be dangerous. Instead, it helps restore balance. A randomized study involving pumpkin seed extract showed increased hair count in participants over time, highlighting the role of these compounds in protecting follicles from shrinkage. Blood flow is another critical factor that pumpkin seeds quietly support. They are rich in arginine, an amino acid that boosts nitric oxide production. Nitric oxide relaxes blood vessels and improves circulation, including to the scalp. Reduced scalp blood flow has been documented in individuals with thinning hair, creating a low oxygen environment where follicles struggle to survive. Improved circulation during sleep allows oxygen and nutrients to reach follicles when repair is most active. Grinding the seeds is not a preference, it is a requirement. Whole seeds often pass through the digestive system partially undigested, especially in seniors with reduced digestive enzyme output. Grinding breaks down the tough outer shell, dramatically increasing mineral absorption. Studies on mineral bioavailability consistently show that particle size affects absorption rates, particularly for zinc and magnesium. Why before bed matters cannot be overstated. At night, insulin sensitivity changes, growth hormone release increases, and the body shifts into repair mode. Consuming sugar or heavy meals late at night disrupts this process. A small, nutrient-dense food like ground pumpkin seeds provides essential building blocks without spiking blood sugar. This creates an ideal internal environment for regeneration rather than storage or inflammation. Consistency transforms this from an idea into a biological response. Hair growth is slow by design. The average hair follicle takes weeks to months to re-enter the growth phase once conditions improve. Research shows that reduced shedding often appears before visible regrowth, a sign that follicles are stabilizing. Texture improves before thickness. These subtle changes are often missed unless people understand the timeline. Another overlooked benefit is the effect on the nervous system. Pumpkin seeds contain tryptophan, a precursor to serotonin and melatonin. Improved sleep quality has been strongly linked to better tissue repair and lower systemic inflammation. Studies on sleep deprivation consistently show increased hair shedding and slower regrowth. Supporting sleep is indirectly supporting hair. What makes this approach powerful is not that it forces the body to grow hair, but that it removes the obstacles preventing growth. Hair follicles are not broken machines. They are responsive biological systems. When given the right nutrients at the right time, they often resume their natural function. The most shocking realization for many seniors is that hair loss often accelerates not because the body is failing, but because it is adapting to scarcity. When nutrients are limited, the body prioritizes survival organs over hair. A simple nightly habit can signal abundance, telling the body that resources are available for regeneration. This is not about quick fixes or unrealistic promises. It is about respecting biology. 1 tablespoon before bed may seem insignificant, but at the cellular level, it can mean the difference between dormancy and repair, between continued thinning and the first signs of renewal. Sometimes the most powerful interventions are not aggressive. They are precise. And when the body is supported consistently, quietly, and intelligently, it often responds in ways that modern medicine is only beginning to fully understand. Most people believe that if something is healthy, more must be better, and if it works, it should work fast. But biology does not obey human impatience, especially when it comes to hair growth after 60. The most critical mistake seniors make is not choosing the wrong solution, but using the right solution at the wrong time, in the wrong amount, and for the wrong duration. and science is very clear on this point. Hair follicles operate on a slow biological clock, and no nutrient, no food, and no intervention can override that rhythm without causing harm. What actually determines success is timing and consistency, not quantity, and this is where most people unknowingly sabotage their own results. Research in dermatology shows that hair follicles cycle through growth, rest, and shedding phases that can last months, not days. And once a follicle enters a resting phase, it will not immediately restart even if conditions improve overnight. What it needs is sustained signaling that tells the body the environment is safe, nourished, and stable enough to invest energy in regrowth. This is why sporadic use of supplements fails, and why aggressive dosing often backfires. Studies have shown that excessive intake of certain nutrients, especially minerals, can disrupt absorption of others, increase oxidative stress, and even worsen hair shedding, a phenomenon known as nutrient imbalance-induced telogen effluvium. The body does not reward excess, it rewards balance. Timing matters because the human body follows circadian biology, a deeply ingrained system that governs hormone release, cellular repair, and tissue regeneration. At night, during deep sleep, growth hormone secretion increases significantly, inflammation markers decrease, and blood flow is redirected toward repair processes rather than digestion or movement. Research published in sleep and aging journals shows that tissue regeneration, including skin and hair follicle repair, is dramatically higher during nighttime hours compared to daytime. This means that nutrients consumed late in the evening are more likely to be used for rebuilding rather than burned for immediate energy, provided they do not spike blood sugar or insulin. Consuming a small nutrient-dense amount consistently before bed creates a predictable signal the body learns to trust. Predictability is essential because hair follicles respond not to single events, but to patterns. Studies on chronic stress reveal that inconsistent nutrient availability keeps follicles in a defensive state, where growth is delayed because the body perceives uncertainty. Consistency tells the body that resources are reliably available, reducing the need to conserve energy. This is why people often notice reduced shedding before they see new growth. Reduced shedding is not failure. It is the first biological confirmation that follicles are stabilizing. Research confirms that when the hair cycle normalizes, the shedding phase shortens before the growth phase lengthens. This transition can take 8 to 12 weeks, sometimes longer in seniors because cellular turnover slows with age. Another shocking but well-documented fact is that hair texture improves before hair density. Studies measuring hair shaft diameter show that follicles often produce thicker strands before increasing the number of active follicles. Many people quit too early because they are looking for new hairs instead of feeling stronger ones. Hydration and protein intake during the day amplify this process. Hair is made primarily of keratin, a protein structure that cannot be synthesized without adequate amino acids. Research shows that older adults often consume less protein than required for tissue repair, even when total calories are sufficient. Without protein, minerals and micronutrients cannot be used effectively, which is why timing alone is not enough without daily nutritional support. Sleep quality is the silent partner in this equation. Studies consistently show that poor sleep increases cortisol and inflammatory cytokines, both of which are associated with hair follicle regression. Even the best nutritional timing cannot overcome chronic sleep deprivation. This is why nighttime routines that support calm, stable sleep enhance results far beyond the nutrient itself. The most uncomfortable truth is that hair regrowth is not dramatic. It is quiet. It happens slowly, invisibly at first, and it requires trust in the process. Research on behavioral adherence shows that people abandon effective health interventions not because they do not work, but because they do not work fast enough to satisfy expectations shaped by marketing, not biology. Hair follicles do not respond to urgency, they respond to safety. When the body senses long-term consistency, reduced inflammation, and stable nutrient availability, it reallocates resources away from survival mode and back toward regeneration. This is why people who stay consistent for months often experience results that seem sudden to outsiders, but are actually the product of accumulated biological changes. The most powerful lesson science teaches us here is that the body is not broken with age. It is cautious. It has learned through decades of stress, scarcity, and inflammation to conserve. Consistency and proper timing slowly convince it to reverse that decision. The tragedy is not that seniors lose hair, it is that they give up just before the body is ready to respond. Timing and consistency are not minor details. They are the entire mechanism. And when they are respected, the body often does what it has always known how to do, even later in life.